Hey Gen Mexers, I want to start out this video by saying that we really do love our house here in Mexico, and we really wouldn't want to live in a condo, but there's sometimes, like this week, when we kind of wish we'd lived in a condo. So if you live in a home anywhere in the world, you know that homeownership comes with its privileges, but also its responsibilities and kind of its pitfalls. And the beauty of living in a condo or an apartment is there's just always someone just to call to get things fixed for you. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about this week's fix. I almost called it a quick fix. It was not a quick fix. So we'll be talking about some plumbing issues, and also I'm going to update you a little bit on our construction project that was it's been going on for over a year. The pool fence is where we're at with that. I'll update you on that if you've been following this channel for a while. But let's start with the problem. So we've owned our house for about 2 years, and we've had a lot of problems with the kitchen sink draining. So especially since we installed the dishwasher, when the dishwasher like shoots out all the gross crappy water, sometimes it would back up in the sink and you'd get all this gross crappy water in the sink, and then it would slowly drain and it'd all be caked around the outside, which was kind of disgusting. We had put in drain opener, and we've had contractors come by and put in like industrial strength drain opener, and finally we shoved one of those snakes down there trying to get that cleaned out, and when it came back it had some roots on it, and so we knew that the drain line from the kitchen sink had cracked somewhere and roots had gotten in from a nearby tree, and it's very dry here, so they were loving that water and probably just filled that pipe up with roots to the point where there's just a little trickle of water going through. Probably most of the water was just draining out into the ground, and it was backing up the sink. So the construction here in La Paz and probably most of Mexico is called slab on grade, which means that the floor is concrete and all the pipes are underneath that. So I thought I was being really I guess Mexican in being very ingenuitive in using a lot of ingenuity, I guess. And so what I did was I started out with these pipes and I pushed a camera. I took one of our security cameras and pushed it down that pipe. And actually I ended up using 3 security cameras because the first 2 didn't work. Their infrared wasn't working and whatnot. So finally was able to push a security camera down there with the infrared and see that 20 feet down I found absolutely nothing, and that was as long as I could get with the cable from the security cameras. I ended up calling in Lucero, who's one of the guys who helps around the house here, and he got more pipe and shoved more pipe down there and found that 30 feet in is where we finally hit the root. So just trying to triangulate where the problem was, and trying to figure out where under the floor these pipes went was really difficult. It didn't make sense. The kitchen sink is not 30 feet from where the outfall is, where it drops into the lines that run to the septic system. So it made a lot of not sense. If this was the United States, you could just go to a rental store and rent something called, I think it's called a pipe horn, and you could use it to find exactly where those pipes were and fix things. But this is Mexico. We tried checking with rental places. They don't have stuff like that here. So all we could do was kind of try to find the pipes. So I actually punched a few holes in the wall just using a hammer and chisel and found where some of the lines were starting, but I knew this was a job for Lucero and his kind of jackhammer type of thing. We knew we were gonna have to tear up the floor, and it was time for me to hand over the project to someone with better tools, and also for me to head out and play pickleball with my friends. So I left and I had them gave them guidance as to where I thought the pipe was, and they also gave me guidance as to where they thought the pipe was, and we kind of worked our way down and just kind of let them go about their business while I was out playing pickleball. And post pickleball, they still had not found the pipe, the pipe that goes outside. We'd found the one from the sink, but it actually was going the wrong direction. It wasn't going towards the outfall. What we determined is that the sink was probably in a different part of the kitchen, behind the refrigerator here, whereas now it's over here closer to the outfall. And so when they renovated the kitchen, they just ran the line kind of backwards to meet up with where the old sink was and then out. So there was probably that problem where those two lines connected is probably where the break was. We'll never know. We decided not to go and tear up the entire kitchen floor. We decided just to find the place where we could make these two lines reconnect together. And they kept telling me, no, it's further over here, breaking out more tiles. And I was really convinced of where I thought it was. So after they had broken a couple of water lines and had to go through and repair the copper water lines, I just started digging in the original area and actually dug down. It was in a really weird, difficult to find location, and I hit the original pipe. So it's a little sad because we had gone through and tore out so much of the floor. Now we need to repair the floor, whereas the problem actually probably would have been isolated into an area where we wouldn't have needed to repair the floor because it was under a cabinet. ¿Qué pasó?
Es tu culpa. Tú dijiste que estaba allá. Sorry.
So while they were repairing those water lines and connecting together, or working on connecting together the new drain lines, it was time for me to go out and have dinner. So I handed the guys a few cold beers and headed out to have dinner with Jim and Rebecca. Thank you, Jim and Rebecca, for taking me away from the house during this project. And that is one of the things I really like about working in Mexico, is this is a project I might have taken on myself back in the States because it's something I could technically do, but it was a lot of work. It's harder to rent equipment here than it is in the United States to be able to do this work. And labor is pretty inexpensive. So having people come here and do the work, and they've got all the tools, and when they broke the water lines, it was no problem. They were just able to go in there and fix everything. So it is nice here to be able to kind of outsource things that maybe if you're a handy person, you might do back in the States, but instead you could go play pickleball or go out to eat with friends. So when I got back from dinner, they actually had completed it. They put the soil back in. Everything was done. And now this morning, Lucero came back and started putting the concrete in. Lucero actually found some of the tiles in our garage that match. So we could put the tiles back in. Of course, they have nicked up some of the tiles on the side, so it wouldn't look perfect, but it would look pretty good. The other option is to hire an artist to build a mosaic in that area, which is really what I'm feeling like doing, but I know that would be more expensive than just having them put the tiles right back in place. So vote down in the comments on whether you think we should spend the extra money on the mosaic or we should go with the slightly imperfect tile solution. I told these guys they could put the drain tube inside this enclosed area here. I just kind of expected them to put it directly up against the wall. So this is one of those good lessons to be very specific when you ask for something. So the other thing that happened during this process is dust. Even though they had a fan trying to pull the dust out of the house, they were breaking up concrete, and the entire house is covered in a really thick layer of dust. The good news is my cleaning folks said that they'd be able to come on a Sunday, which isn't very common. So they're going to come on Sunday, kind of get the place back to non-dusty condition. Of course, I wouldn't be a good YouTuber if I didn't ask you to click the subscribe button, the little bell, and the word all to get notified of future videos. We now have a working sink. I've got to put the cameras back together the way they were. But let's head outside to talk about where we are with the architect and the fence. We've made a little bit of progress, a little bit of imperfect progress. So here it is, ta-da, the fence with the wave at the top. The metal part has been installed, so it was to be half metal and then half glass. And you can see here, the glass part hasn't been installed yet. I think that's the more expensive part. Not sure if we'll ever see the glass. And there's a couple of little problems. As you can see down here, for instance, the gate doesn't go all the way to the ground. Not sure what he was thinking there. And also, it's not quite centered. So you can see here that the door, if it did go all the way to the ground, the door wouldn't close, and they've left some cracked concrete and whatnot. So definitely not perfect work. I've hired someone to fix all that because with the gate having that big gap underneath, the neighbor dog keeps coming in, just crawling under. I've watched him crawls under the gate and then goes directly to the pool to wash off after having spent the morning in the bay. So there's a lot of dirt that's going in the pool. Very cute dog named Canella, love her, but I'd rather she wasn't in my pool. Canella. So as I mentioned, we hired someone who can fix the gate, make the fence a little more secure because it's a little wobbly. Also, they provided us with a quote to do the rest of this area, the area that was supposed to be glass, what that would cost for them to replicate the existing fence and have the waves go all the way across. So we're thinking about that, and to finish up the windows, which the architect kind of abandoned. So the project, just timeline-wise, was supposed to be complete in about 2 weeks a year ago. So it was like mid-August was the original completion date, and it's about to be mid-August here now, and we haven't seen the architect. Besides this little piece of fence that he installed, we haven't seen him in about 6 months. And we are working with our attorney, so there'll be a video about how that whole process goes once the process is complete. As I mentioned earlier, we really do love having our own house and being able to do things our way. And even though it can be a challenge, I know a lot of people move to Mexico and buy a condo or just rent a house or an apartment. And I can definitely see the benefits of that because you don't have to worry. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people move to Mexico is they just want to simplify life. And so being able to move in a condo where someone's taking care of the pool, and if there needs to be a new fence, someone else is dealing with that. Any kind of plumbing problems just get dealt with. You, of course, are paying monthly fees for these services, but definitely, I can totally get why people would want to do that. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Are you looking for a condo? Are you living in a condo? Looking for a house? Looking for a house? And also, I've got some other videos up here about life in La Paz and a little bit about life in Mexico.